What's going on, everybody? Good morning, happy Friday. Good morning, Nico, Oki, Rain, Samurai, Businessman, Evelyn, Samuel, Cloud, Crazy Eddie, Debbie, Will, what's up, Tom, good morning. Good to see everybody in here. Good morning, happy Friday. Hope you're all doing well. If you can like the video, per usual. Accidental, what's up, brother? T-Man, Mufasa, Azi, what's up? ESS, Muhammad. Did I trade the PM session yesterday? No, I did not. I logged off of yesterday. I covered yesterday in the daily log where my personal opinions on the market currently and where we sit. I was enjoying that music. What was the song called? I can put it in there. It's for peak focused complex something. Alright. If we can get this to 100 likes, I'm going to start the live stream here. So everybody, there's 150 in you here. 50 likes, 50 more. Just click the like button real quick. That way we can get started. Wolf. Maddie, what's up? Appreciate you. Thank you, Buffalo. Forgive me if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly. Freak, good morning. 30 more likes, and we can get this thing started. Show on the road. It is Friday. You have to keep in mind in the template of today what happened overnight. There's a few things I'm looking at. We have a news event driver 30 minutes after the open, so I'm not going to be doing anything up until that moment, right? I would not advise it, regardless of what you're doing. I think waiting for something like that to play out would be the best probability. We only need 22 more likes. Good morning. ONS was massive over... I don't know that abbreviation. Forgive me. I'm on, baby. 10 more. For being racketed and extorted. Yes, I need your likes. Trade the news. Yeah, I mean, my funded futures, they have a competition, which I don't know why the competition starts in about 2 hours. It should start now. But if you don't know, my funded futures, it's either, if you already have a live account with them this month, it'll be free to enter into the competition. If not, it's about $50 for it this month. And they have some pretty good prizes and things you can win. In terms of a $25,000 live account, $10,000 live account, $5,000 live account, and I believe 4th through 10th, you'll win a static 30K funded account. Pretty darn good. I mean, there's only about 1,000 in there so far. So I'm curious to see how this month's going to play out. I mean, I'm going to be competing in it. Do I really care how I perform? No, I don't think judging somebody off of 1 month is going to do anything, but it'll be fun to participate in. Only downside is I am going to be live streaming it. So people will be copying me, so it'll be interesting to see. I mean, I'll be doing some trading off stream to kind of mitigate that, but overall, I think it's pretty interesting this month. All right, we're at 100 likes, so I'll get this thing started. I appreciate everybody being here. Happy Friday. We're having a good morning, night, wherever you're at. Let me know if you can see the screen, and I'll get started on the live stream here. You guys want music today or no music? I can leave a little bit of music on. I mean, it's what I'm usually listening to all the time. Good morning. Please don't. I'm not gonna put any music on because I understand. I mean, if you want your own music, you can. I put the link in the chat if you want that music. Yeah, exactly. All right, you can see the screen, right? Yeah, I'm not gonna play music. I think the overwhelming majority don't want it, and if you want it, you can play it yourself. All right. You can see the screen, right? I need a confirmation, yes. Cool. All right. Thank you. So, where are we at? What's the day? What's the profile? What are we looking at? We have news 30 minutes from now, approximately. It's right at the silver bullet window, the opening of it. So, regardless of what's happening, I'm going to be waiting for that and see what the information looks like and what we're given. It's the last day of the week. I mean, this week's been overall, it's been pretty tough. I'm not going to sit here and lie. It's been tough, right? But overall, if you look at my engagement, and I posted my track record on Twitter, just so we're all transparent here, but I'm engaged twice on Wednesday, once yesterday. So overall, I'm basically break even for the week, a little bit under. And I'm happy with that. This type of week where it's been difficult. Yesterday, I didn't see that large retracement happen. I was not anticipating that, nor I went over this yesterday, nor do I believe that's a normal thing to happen. It's a different discussion. But overall today, we're on a new month. We're on a new monthly candle, so I want to bring your attention to that. And the reason I'm bringing that is because new monthly candles, especially when they open on a Friday, that can bring a lot of volatility. That can bring a lot of manipulation, even the day before. That's yesterday, partial reason of what we saw. So I'm curious to see what today plays out like. If the news event driver comes out, let's say, just in terms of bullish and moves higher, I'm going to be looking probably for a TJF. I'm going to be looking for the weekly range to expand back into itself, right, by 20 to 30%. So wherever the high gets set, if it does, let's say the high is here, then we're looking for 20 to 30% retracement back into the weekly candle. And that's what we did last week. I waited for the setup to happen, didn't fear missing anything, and it worked out beautifully. So we'll see wherever the high gets set. I believe that we're probably going to make a new high. I don't believe this is the high that's set, personally. I believe it probably get ran out. We'll probably make a new higher high in here. So from there, I'll see what time it is, where we're at, if we can get 20 to 30% retracement into the range. Christian, where can I see if I got a starter account? If you just go to your dashboard, you should be able to see the accounts. So looking at the daily time frame, last night we climbed up above the buy side liquidity. If we didn't do this already, which I was annotating in yesterday's daily log that we're going to attack the buy side overnight most likely, then If we didn't attack this already, I would have been aiming towards this morning. Since we already have, it doesn't mean that we can't continuously climb higher and attack the current day high. But overall, looking at today and looking at the structure, I may want to elect to stick with the TJF, which is shorting. So we'll see what happens. Just to make note, we climbed down into the CE of this bullish fair value gap there yesterday. Displaced higher. So bullish order block there, but it's really not of use currently. I know it just opened and price is moving. I'm sure a lot of people are frantic that I'm not looking at it, but I'm not touching it until that news event driver comes out. I mean, look at this wick yesterday. I mean, we talk about level of manipulation that's undergoing in the market currently. And how would I know this? I'm not just speaking this because I'm live streaming and I took a loss yesterday. I'm speaking just from a experience standpoint, and even ICT himself has been stating this. We're in a level of manipulation due to a lot of different factors that are circulating the world currently, and just the market in general. If you look at the market symmetry, what I was talking about last night in terms of dollar index, bonds, yields, foreign exchange, those are being held in a very tight consolidation, especially dollar index. It's being very heavily held. So that's going to create rougher waters and conditions if you're trading NQ, if you're trading index futures, at least the way I've seen it, and you've seen it this whole week. I mean, yesterday, yes, you could have looked at this and seen a nice deep discount retracement into optimal trade entry. In a normal condition, that is not very typical. That's not a very typical retracement. That's highly manipulated. So when I don't anticipate something like that and it catches me off guard, it makes me weary of price. It makes me weary of the conditions that we're in. And I'm not the only one stating this, and I'm not just regurgitating it from ICT himself, because, again, I have 6 years of experience myself. I'm leaning on that, and I'm looking back on that experience and going, things are not really agreeing with what I'm used to seeing. Does that mean anything's broken? Does it mean the algorithm's broken? No. It just means that we're in a period of manual intervention where things are being manipulated, as ICT was stated. So I want you all to be aware of that. I went over this last night, but I want to kind of restate it for those who didn't watch the video. So yesterday, again, just going over what we're looking at and why price is doing what it's doing. We took out sell side liquidity. We displaced higher and had a very, very deep retracement, as I just discussed. We had a nice displacement higher running above buy side that I was annotating. It's overall what I was looking at. I was very, very bullish yesterday, but the setup just didn't happen, right? We ended up running out the buy side here overnight. We've dropped lower. What are those down close candles here to your left? Those would be your bullish order block. So I would need a really confident setup in order to go short. I believe this current day high is going to be ran out with the news event driver or even prior to it. From there, we'll see if we get above buy side. Do we have a TGIF retracement back into the weekly range, which is maybe 20 to 30% in here. That's ideally what I'd be looking at. If I don't get it, then I don't do anything. I probably won't be looking at longs today. I would probably prefer to stay on the idea of looking at short. Even though the narrative is bullish, I'm leaning on the idea of TGIF. Right? We talked about this last week. So hopefully that's clear what I'm looking at. It's not 50-50. It's not one side or the other. Do you trade quarter theory? No. PUMX, I mean, I can take a look later maybe. So currently where price sits, at least on the hourly lower time frames, this high from overnight, I believe that's going to be used as a point of interest. They're going to want to run for that. And I don't care. I'm not going to be touching it until that news event driver unfolds. Anything can happen. My prediction could be wrong. I could be, obviously on the wrong side. So if you do look at the PM session, there was a really nice second stage distribution in here. Even the delivery, though, on lower time frames is a bit sloppy. Again, markets are a personalized perspective. So if I say something and you think that the markets are very clean, by all means, that's what you're thinking and you're believing. I'm not trying to disregard that, but through my experience and through 6 years of it, it's not a normal delivery. And I also have ICT kind of backing that same idea. Does that mean that, things are not going to move back into sync and move into cleaner conditions? Of course not. Eventually, typically these type of months are not clean anyways. Typically when you move into spring, you move into March, April, May, those type of times are a lot better. June, July can be fruitful, but it can also be a little bit stagnant, especially even August. And then the fall is really, really fruitful as well. So spring and fall are really fruitful times in the market. Those are times you really want to be participating in it. Why ICT confusing people? I don't know how it'd be confusing more people. Next week we have payroll. I don't know if you're talking about non-farm payroll. So let's mark up a few things, put some lipstick on, see where price is at. If you're just joining in, I appreciate it if you'd like the video. Am I trading in the TradingView competition? No. I don't even know what that is. Let me split the screen here. Yes, there is some bearish SMT where YM and ES both haven't taken their all-time highs. Well, NQ has, so it's something I'm watching. ES may want to take out its high. But again, I'm not doing anything until that news event driver releases. I'm not going to be putting capital and mental capital behind something that I'm quite unsure of. Even just looking at price currently, I'm a little iffy on it. If you ever have questions on your entries or things like that, I get it. There's times where I just couldn't understand what the hell was going on. And through time, if you can't get your question answered by somebody else with more experience, or you simply can't answer, why price did this. Sometimes, again, if you followed all your rules to your model and you followed everything you possibly can do, that you can't always fix losses. You can't always fix losses. That's really what I'm trying to get at, is sometimes it's just part of your model. You're going to take a loss. You can't really learn from it because you did everything you were supposed to. And that's just a part of trading, right? So there's a really good quote yesterday I actually heard where you can't control the outcome, but you can control the effort. So I can control the amount of effort and the discipline and the concentration I have going into a trade. I can control the effort I put into that trade idea, making sure I follow my rules, making sure I follow time, making sure everything's in line. I can control that, but I can't control the outcome. I can't control whether it's a win or a loss. When I submit to the market, when you press enter into the market, you're fully submitting to your trade idea. You're fully submitting to the market. You're at will to the market. I can't control whether it's a win or loss. The only thing I can control is the effort I put into it before I enter it into the trade. If you're obviously not controlling that effort, if you're just doing whatever outside of your rules, outside of your discipline, well, then that's a mistake. You have to distinguish between, okay, am I following my rules, my discipline, everything set out for me? If I did and I still took a loss, great. At least I did everything I could. If I'm not, then that's me lacking on that effort part, right? I'm lacking on the amount of effort I'm putting into it. But if I did everything I was supposed to do, if you did everything you were supposed to do before getting into a trade, it's not really a loss. Like, to me, it's just simply part of the variables that are at play. You have to look at trading in a very probable variable mindset, because it is. Like, for those of you who have played, casino games, blackjack, poker, whatever it is, you have to look at it through that lens. It will actually make you a lot more confident if you look at it through that lens. Justin and Jack, if you're in here, you understand. Because in blackjack, this is the kind of the analogy I was kind of coming to the last few days. So I've been playing a little bit of blackjack online, but it's, if you look at poker, if you look at blackjack, you're never upset losing a hand, because if you have enough capital and you put the odds in your favor, more than likely in poker or blackjack, you'll probably end up winning if you have enough capital to sit through it. The only difference between trading, you're okay with losing in blackjack because it's really not your fault most of the time, right? But in trading, you put a lot of pressure on yourself. It's always your fault when you take a loss. But if you're able to take that blame and just kind of place it on your model, this is going to sound out there, but this is what I was thinking about last night. And I'm not talking about price because I don't care about it. But if you're able to place the blame on your model, not that it's incorrect or it's flawed, but if you take the blame and you kind of separate it away from yourself and you just place it on the model, then you're not going to get so upset at yourself. You're not going to critique yourself so much. You're not going to end up tilting, FOMOing back into a trade, because most of the time we do that is because we're placing so much blame on ourselves. But if you're able to kind of separate that and put that into a different bucket, it can take a lot of emotions away from it. Nice. I'm kind of ranting, so I'm losing my train of thought. Really, what I was getting at in terms of like poker or blackjack overall is it's a very probable variable mindset. So when I look at trading and when I take a loss, I take that loss and I put that into the bucket of probabilities of, okay, that's my like 25, 30, 40% loss, right? If I know my win rate, I know my data, I know the statistics around it, I take that loss and I put it in the bucket of losses. And I know, okay, well, that's, 30% of my losses. So I'm going to put that one in there. And if I take a win, then I'm going to put that into the bucket of 70%. It's always about variables. It's always about math to me when I look at trading and I look at losses, even a string of losses. Because if you look at it through the lens of, man, I did something wrong, this is my fault, then you're involving emotions. You're not looking at it through a variable mindset. That's the easiest way for me to get through losses, is to look through a variable mindset. If you guys can like the video, I would appreciate it. Only at 350 viewers, so. What's your overall win rate? Again, I get this question a lot. It differs every single month. There's months and weeks where PA is amazing, so then my strike rate or my overall win rate is going to be good. There's weeks and times and months where it's price action is not so good, or if I'm not performing well, my win rate would be lower. So I don't really look at win rate. I do. It's definitely a variable, but overall, if your risk management, if you're reducing your risk after you take a loss, and you're trying to, the next trade, you're trying to make half of that loss back, and then you're upping your risk again. You're playing with risk management. You're actually playing with that risk management. And again, you're playing with variables and win rate. Trading is all about, to me, math. Like, if you do the math correctly, you're going to end up winning, especially if you place yourself inside of a good model and you execute on that model and you control your effort inside of it. You're going to end up profitable in the long run. But most people don't have patience to do that. As soon as they take a loss, they want to go back into the market and they want to, get their money back. This is really what I was getting at with like blackjack or poker is the difference is you understand in blackjack or poker that you're able to kind of, right away you're able to get another deck of cards. You're able to get that instantaneously. But with trading, I may not be able to take a trade right away. I may not be able to get that quote unquote another deck of cards right away. I may have to sit and wait an entire day. So it's the difference between patience, right? Nicholas, thank you. ICT totally has a model, multiple models for everything. Do you change your model sometimes? For the most part, my model stays the same all the time. Like I don't really ever deviate. I don't ever deviate, so no. Yeah, Z, that's a good thing. You can literally have a negative risk reward, a terrible win rate, and you can still be profitable. If you look at the math behind trading, if you look at the odds and you look at it in terms of like I said, a casino. If you look at it, no, most people don't want to admit that trading is gambling. It is. It's just a more mathematical approach to it. And of course, you have an edge. You have a lot of things you control. So it is better than gambling, but it is rigged, right? We do have an upper hand with these concepts, regardless of what anybody says. We do. We have an in to whatever the house is doing. We know what the house is doing. It's the same thing if you're able to read cards and understand that. It's the same thing. It's the reason why I'm drawing the analogy to gambling or casinos, because it is. If you look at it through that lens, it's a little bit easier. You're not so hard on yourself all the time. It's like, cool, I'm just trying to play the odds. That's all I'm doing. I'm trying to play the probabilities and I'm trying to play the odds. It's not so much pressure on yourself to perform all the time. It's just you're putting odds and variables together. Simple math. Mark Douglas, yeah, I mean, but again, most people don't want to admit that because they believe, when people say that about their career, it's, oh, this is gambling. I mean, it is. How can you not look at it? You're playing variables and odds. That's what you're doing. You're playing variables and odds. Like, if you look at it through that lens, to me, it's a lot easier. You do control the outcome, but at times you don't. Like, how can I avoid picking top or bottom while trading Model 22? Isn't that the point? Getting in after external liquidity raid? Not necessarily. How can I avoid picking tops or bottoms? I mean, picking a top is like turtle soups. Or a bottom, vice versa. Well, actually, no. I mean, in gambling, if you look at blackjack, you understand that there's certain patterns, right? There's a pattern in blackjack. You most definitely, if you're playing blackjack, you know whether to hit or stand on of certain variables. You know, okay, if the house has a 2 right away when you get dealt your hand, and you have a certain amount of X cards, you know, okay, is this a good hit? This is a good stand. It's the same thing. Like, I mean, Mark Douglas, sure, no hate to him, but I don't agree with that at all. Obviously, if you're talking about like a slot machine, yeah, you don't have any control there. You're just hitting a button. Sorry, never played blackjack. Yeah, I mean, if you look at blackjack, it's one of the more casino games I've looked at, and obviously I'm like, okay, there's some odds here. There's some things that you can control. You can control certain variables. Again, if you're asking why I'm not talking about prices, because I'm waiting for the news event driver to play out, and I don't see anything in here. We're in no man's land. The reason I say that is because we've taken out buy-side liquidity here overnight. We dropped lower. And if you just look at this run in here, I don't want to be participating in this. I mean, would you want to be participating in this? I personally don't. It's very sloppy. We do have some sell side beneath us. We got above. The only thing I can really annotate is we got above this civvy here, which could turn into an inversion. But overall, I'm just waiting for the news event driver. Once that releases, I'll see what else we can see for the rest of the session. All right, in a sense, yeah. I mean, you have a lot more probabilities. You have a lot more odds in your favor. But the main point I'm really trying to get at is if you look at trading through a variable standpoint, you look at it through probabilities, it's a lot easier on yourself. Because overall, it's the number one thing I've always had an issue with was variables and probabilities. Like, sometimes you just can't control losses. You can't control certain things. You're not always going to be perfect as a human. You're not always going to be operating on the same level, the same discipline, the same focus all the time. Each day is different. You may wake up more tired. You may be less focused that day. So again, you can't even control that. There's days where, you can't control certain emotions. So it's very much a variable probability mindset. And that's what gives me confidence. The reason I'm saying that is because if you look at it through that lens and you do the math, it's like, okay, cool. When I make a mistake or take a loss, I'm not upset. I just put it in the bucket of losses in terms of probabilities, the math. And I know eventually the win will come. And that's also in the bucket of the wins. I think the best traders always play the odds. They're always playing the best odds, and they're looking at trading through a mathematical standpoint rather than day-to-day win-to-loss, putting a lot of emphasis on, winning and losing. I don't really look at it like that. Yeah, if you can count, when to increase your bet size, when certain cards and when the dealer has, bad cards, okay, well, I can either double down, I can hit, I can stand, whatever it is. Same thing in trading. But anyways, overall in price, if we're looking at it, Dow has failed to make the higher high. It's pretty far away in relative to NQ. So NQ's taken out the buy side liquidity level here. So if you look at YM, which I'll probably just bring it all over. So let's look at the highs in here. So I'm not paying too much attention to Dow. I will give it some emphasis, but really mainly I'm looking at the correlation between ES and NQ. I'm putting a lot of emphasis there, where ES has failed to make the higher high in here, while NQ made the higher high. Doesn't mean that ES can't follow through with it, but you have to annotate where we're currently sitting. Well, that's a bearish SMT currently. That could change. ES could be the sixth sister and would want to fall through with it. We'll see what the news event driver provides. But if we have a major drop lower with the news event driver or moving into silver bullet, then I'd be leaning on the idea, okay, this is kind of tipping its hand to me that it's, it may want to drop lower. What would be also a confluence, TJF, price may want to move back into the weekly range by 20 to 30%. Again, if you add Dow in here, Dow's completely separated away from them too. Let's look at the 1 hour in here. So we'll see what ES wants to do. ES may want to climb higher into the buy side. We'll see. But I'm just annotating certain things. Somebody asked, do you trade before news? No. Even in my setups there, I don't trade before news. It's just, I've been stopped out way too many times. I don't care. I understand that we have a lot of tools in our ICT tool shed to the point where even if a news event driver played out and my model was there, I know that probably after I'm going to have an entry pattern. I'm never really fearful of that. I think you're a lot better off not trading news event drivers. I mean, who's really saying here? Like, come 7 minutes from now. I mean, I could see this thing going higher. I could also see it going lower. So the best thing I could do is wait for time to decide it for me. Should I go to trading school? No, everything would be free on YouTube, ICT's YouTube channel. Nico, 5 and 15 minute. Technically, it's a breaker. All right, look at the structure of price. You have a low, high, lower low, higher high. A mitigation block would not make the lower low in here. It would just simply make a higher low. All right, I mean, that's up to you, brother. I mean, I'm not going to make that decision for you. If you want to go to trading school, go to trading school. 4:20 a.m. It's so difficult sometimes, Nico. I wish you could. Can you send links in here? I don't know. Accidental. That was when I was on stream. I was talking about how I traded NQ versus micro NQ. So that was just me live streaming, and I made the mistake of I was trading NQ, and luckily it played out in my favor. By no means was I was trying to brag or boast about it, but I mean, it's just simply, again, that's odds and variables and probabilities that played out. Like, I can't control that. But you all were live here for it. Yeah, I traded 5 minis instead of 5 micros. And I looked over and I was up $2,300. I was like, holy shit. But from there, I mean, I reduced my risk. There's a couple days where I'm back into, especially after making that amount of money, I'm able to up my risk as well. So if you saw a little bit larger losses, it's normal. And one of the days had 10 trades, but that was because I pyramided into a trade. So each contract counted as one trade. Why do you trade micros? Because, yeah, it's a 100K account, but you have a max 3K drawdown that's trailing. So it'd be stupid of me to trade a micro, or a mini, sorry. Until I can build that drawdown, which I'm at now, anything above 3K, because it trails it. Once I'm in 3K profit, my max drawdown is 100,000. So now I can't go back to 100,000. So the idea with funded accounts is you're trying to build that buffer. Once you build that buffer, then I can start increasing it. I'm not going to take a payout. Like, even though I could right now, 3K, I'm going to build that buffer to where I can get to 5K, 7K, 8K, 10K. And if I'm at 10K, then I can really start using minis. And I mean, from there, I could blast off into 20, 30, 40, $50,000 in profit. I'm not saying I'm going to hold that out in a prop firm. I'm definitely going to be taking payouts from there, but that's the idea that you want, ideally. For me to go into a prop firm after I get funded and just trade a bunch of minis, I mean, it's stupid. Tom, good to hear. Hold on, let me get to a couple questions. One ICT short-term trading model, you said if we are coming from a monthly discount array, we are targeting the weekly premium array as a drawn liquidity to supply to 4 hour. Yeah. Nico, how much buffer do you plan to add on? I mean, ideally, if I can get to 5K, that's when I'm going to start dropping probably one mini. You can make a bunch of money with micros. Like, don't let anybody tell you differently. You can make a bunch of money with micros, especially on NQ. And also, too, it's like, if you haven't noticed, like, I've had that live account for close to 5 months now, because I'm trying to build a track record with them. Especially with my funded futures, if you build a consistent track record, they'll end up giving you, like, I'm in a simulated funded account, but if you give them enough evidence and proof that you're profitable, they'll give you a live account. They'll want to work with you. Any prop firm, any investor is going to want to do that with you. So that's also what I'm trying to do as well. That way I don't even have to pass any other challenges. I could just get straight up funding from them, rather than me just over leveraging on a funded account trying to get paid out. Like, that's just an amateur way of looking at it. TGF 23%. Yeah, so if you look at the weekly candle from the high to the low, wherever the high is at currently, you're going to be marking out your fib from there. Which, I mean, there could be a new high set during Friday's AM session, wherever it's at. A new high could be printed, so you have to make sure, you adjust that. So we have about 20 seconds or so until the news event driver plays out. So let's watch and see how that plays out. And from there, I should be able to get a little bit better read on what price wants to do. So buy side liquidity was tagged. I'm not saying I was calling for it. It's not like me bragging about it. And you shouldn't feel any type of way about quote unquote. That's not me missing a move. That's not you missing a move. That's just exercising discipline. I mean, if that's your style, you like entering in before news event drivers, by all means, do it. But not for me. It's not what I do. So let's see if ES would want to continue carrying higher to take out basically 51.23, because that would be its all-time high. And if I also don't get a setup today, if I don't find anything to trade on, then I'm okay with that. I'm okay with even ending the week on a loss. I don't have to chase back a loss on a Friday. I'm operating on the idea of not what happened this week. I'm operating on a fresh new day. If my model doesn't appear, then I'm doing nothing. Regardless of what happened yesterday, regardless of what happened this week, last month, the market has no idea. You should start with a clean slate every single day and look at it through that lens. Where's Enigma? Is there a banana? Yeah, I have a banana next to me. Fridays we don't trade. No, I trade Fridays. It's actually been very fruitful the last probably 3 live sessions. Every single Friday I've done well. Fridays and Mondays you just have to be more weary of price action, but sometimes it's cleaner than Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. So it just depends. Every day is unique. The profile is unique. The things are unique around it that are surrounding it. So you just have to take it, and you as the analyst, you weigh decisions and options. You decide if you want to engage. What up, Roosta? Yeah, if you guys can like the video, I would appreciate it. I would like to get to 9K subscribers by the end of today. That would be cool. But we'll see. I think I'm at like 8.9, something like that. So if you aren't already subscribed, I'm assuming a lot of you are. But if you aren't, just hit the button real quick. ICT banana entry. Yeah, I'm sure if I posted that on YouTube with a thumbnail, clickbait thumbnails, people would love it. ICT hidden enigma banana entry. People think, what? The ICT assassin cheat code. Dude, I could come up with so many names. The one, hi CJ, have you used / heard the ICT index? Yeah, I've used it. Just for like I was using it for the beginner's course to get like some just decently generated AI like questions I had. I just wanted to copy and paste it. It's good. I mean, it's not an end all be all, but it's pretty cool. Dictionary if you have questions on certain things. Now Zusi will post his on Twitter, yeah. Again, I mean, if you're already aware of that, it's like people have their when this comes to like selling stuff, like people, it's their own decision. Like if you're not aware of the information, if you don't have enough, experience, and you buy somebody's course or their mentorship, and I mean, that's up to you. You made the decision, regardless if they're a scammer or not. So. Come on, hell yeah. Collide, the easiest way, to be honest with you, because ES, NQ, and YM, they're all priced differently. So it depends what you trade, and it depends how many contracts on each of them. Easiest way I can recommend to somebody is just go to paper trading, go to the contracts, and then look at your model, look at your normal, just from wherever you're entering, where you place your stop loss, look at the common amount of points, and then where you usually profit out at, and just calculate it with your contracts. I mean, there is micro. If you type in M and Q, you're going to see micros, which are priced a lot less than minis. So if you don't have that big of an account, can't really trade micros or minis, then I would go to micros. Yeah, Bishop. I mean, it is. It is a complete mentorship. Like it really is. But yeah. I've always struggled on social media to gain traction and to gain light. So it is what it is. Not saying I'm not grateful. I mean, there's 500 of you on here. So very cool. Really, XNO, I just ordered a Lamborghini Urus today. I believe my butler is going to hand me some food here shortly. Comment below if you would like a Lamborghini. I'll go ahead and ship it to your house. Akbar, that's fine, man. I've actually seen your. I don't know if that was you, but I think he commented at ICT like you need to get in here to the live streams. He posted something pretty funny. Joseph, that's a good question. It's just again, it's uniquely on the profile of Nasdaq. Typically, I'll say this. Typically, my stop losses are 15 to 20 handles. Typically, but if you are in a very large ranging market, well, then the ranges between, let's say, like where I enter the inefficiencies of fair value gap, the range might be a lot larger. So if we're moving a lot, then I have to reduce my risk because the points of my stop loss are going to be more. If we're in a tight little range and my stop loss is only 10 handles or something, then I can actually up my risk to where I'm still at the same percentage of risk, if you get what I'm saying. Actually, no, I don't. Did you see my... no, I don't, actually. Yeah, Tom. I get it. It is what it is. All right, Honey Badger, I'll just send me your address and I'll ship it to you. As far as what I'm seeing here, I'm not really touching price currently yet. Especially after a news event driver, if price is not clean to me, ideally I'm just waiting for a little bit better of conditions. I mean, the only thing I can really annotate is we drop down into this inversion here. Ideally, what I'd be looking at and what I'm leaning on is a possible TGIF today, if we want to do it. If not, then I'll see. But again, we're at all-time highs now, so it's difficult to trade at all-time highs because you don't know where price is going to go. You also don't know where it's going to reverse from. Okay, thank you very much. Live streaming, I constantly forget to put the RTH gap on until somebody reminds me. Let me do that real quick. So we have an RTH gap below us. So that would agree. Again, how do I utilize RTH gap? Well, if I'm looking for lower prices today, so we have all-time highs being taken out, so we have buy side being taken out. That doesn't automatically mean that price should reverse, but it is a factor if you're taking out buy side liquidity at all-time highs on a Friday, leaning with TJF with bearish SMT, and if we get higher dollar with RTH gap below us, that's a decent confluence. That's, again, you're trying to add as many confluences, the odds in your favor. So if I was to go short today, then I'd be looking at targeting the RTH gap to at least close it, or at least target the premium end of it, or 50% of it. So that's what I'd be looking at today if we do go short. Preferably, I don't want to go long in here. I mean, at all-time highs, it's very difficult for me to want to buy price to long it. So I'm okay with sitting out on the idea. Nor, I mean, where would I have really went long? In hindsight, there's an inversion here with this down close candle, which is a bullish order block, and price moved higher. So we're going to attack probably buy side here, and there it is. But, I mean, we're only 10 minutes in a silver bullet. Yes, Six Sister. I would have liked to believe so. I think it's not going to create a bearish S&T. It's probably going to follow through. We'll see. I mean, if something sets up on ES to where I really like it, I may want to trade it. I'll keep an eye on it. So, I mean, we're really at all-time highs in here. I mean, it'll be difficult to see, obviously, where price should go. But look at the last two, where's Friday in here? Friday dropped lower, back into the weekly range. Look at Friday of last week. So, we'll see. That's what I would prefer is a TGIF setup. It would make me the most confident. I mean, at this point, longs are off the table for me. You do whatever you'd like, Accidental. Not me. PUMEX, the amount of people you're helping is insane. Thank you. I appreciate that. Joseph, correct. Yep. So essentially, no matter the handles on your stop, you'll adjust your contract size, so you're always risking the same dollar amount. Correct. Yep. Can't you take the standard deviation of manipulation, see where it's going to retrace? Yeah, you can. Or if you're talking in terms of where it's going to expand towards, if that's what you're saying. But standard deviations are, again, that's just a guesstimate. That's just an idea of where price could go. I don't believe the market moves off of standard deviations. I think they're a good, useful confluence if you're looking for something, but overall the market's seeking imbalances, inefficiencies, and liquidity. That's what it's moving to and from. So to me, it's not moving to and from standard deviations. They're just a decent confluence. If -2 standard deviation lines up with a liquidity pool, then cool. ICT had a really good post on community post probably about a week ago or so. Let's see if I can find it. But he said something that was really resonated with me. He's like, don't dive into waters that you're unfamiliar with, and then you end up. Let me find it before I misquote it. It was really good, man. It's kind of how I feel currently. It's like we're at all-time highs. I've never really been here in my trading career. I'm not the person to long inside of a such premium, so I'm trying to lean on that advice currently. Let me find it. Don't venture into waters and discover you can't swim in riptides. This means you do not need to know what is going to happen next every day. So focus on these setups, environments that make sense to you using your model. Don't venture into waters and discover you can't swim in riptides. And that's kind of how I feel. I mean, I don't want to venture into waters that I don't know about, I haven't discovered yet, and I end up seeing that I can't swim in this. It's too much current. I'm not trying to do that. Does that mean I'm a bad analyst? Does that mean that I should feel bad about myself? No. You're playing the smart idea. You're playing the smart decision, the smart person in the room. Regardless of what anybody else says, you should know exactly how to trade in every single environment. You should know it. These people are talking out of their ass. They're not profitable. Opening charts at New York Session Trade with my older brother is a part of my trading day. Thank you. I thought you actually had an older brother, but appreciate that. That's awesome. I don't have a younger brother, but it'd be cool. The fact that people are afraid to long here, I would argue the opposite. I think a lot of people are. You have to think in terms of a retail mindset. We're all retail, yes. I have to keep repeating this in case somebody wants to correct me, but I would believe that the vast majority of newer traders, people that are in the retail mindset, they're looking at this as a breakout. They're looking at this as prices moving away from them. It's going higher. It's just running. I have to chase this. That's the way I'm viewing it. I don't think people are scared to long this. I think people are very overly confident to do that. Last Friday's high, I mean, we're way above that. We're at all-time highs. This is the current all-time high of NASDAQ, 18197. Now I have to think today. Excuse me. If I don't get the TGIF Friday set up, is this just going to continue higher? Obviously, I would need more information to determine that. The thing that would make me weird of TGIF is I'm not trying to pick a top, but I understand with the profile and time of day it could happen. So I'm just going to wait to see if I would need a lot of evidence for a short bias. Algo trading, I can't answer that for you, unfortunately. That's a personal decision that you have to make. I mean, I can give you advice as far as when you can sense when you're ready. That's when you've gone through paper trading, tape reading, and you've seen that you have data, not just like a week of data. You've been through some rough waters, you've been through some good times, and you'll be able to, manage all of it. Like just having a good week or a good month, and you've never been through like any type of drawdown, you've never experienced, a bad trading environment and be able to excel through it. Like you're doing things too early. You're gonna stunt your growth. I've stunted my growth by years because I pushed things way too early. You start building in bad habits. You gotta relearn those habits. You gotta exit out of those habits. I mean, there's a lot of things you're gonna have to learn if you stunt your growth. Can TGIF happen in PM session? It could, yeah. Not a sheep, no. That's not the context of TGIF. Fractoki. Yeah, I mean, sometimes TGIF happens in the PM session, but if you look at last week and I took a TGIF short, this all happened during the AM session. It's the same thing. We had a really high rally up and then price just dropped off lower. No, I don't trade PM session on Friday. I rarely even ever trade PM sessions. I don't. I've seen myself, like the win rate on PM session is not very high for me. Like there's some times where if AM is really sloppy and PM I can see setting up nicely, sure. But by then, I mean, I have to think about my mental capital. I'm pretty drained for the day. I'm unfocused. AM session is just good for me. Like it's right when I wake up, I do a couple morning things and I'm very focused. I'm energized. But by PM, I mean, I work out, come back home. I may just be sloppy on my discipline and rules, and I think you're opening yourself up. The more times you enter into the market, the more times you expose yourself to the market, is more times you're exposing yourself to risk. So I'm not trying to expose myself to risk. I know myself so well that like I can screw things up on a dime. The best analysts understand how bad they are on the flip side. They understand that once they cross that threshold, they're all their demons. Everything comes out of them. So I try to be very weary of that. Like we all understand our own emotions and psyches. So you have to understand it on a very deep level, and you have to know your risk. You're tolerant of how far you can push your psyche in a day for trading. I know that really one session's it. Again, if you're a newer trader, you're not really going to understand it. Psychology on a very deep level. You're not going to resonate with it, and that's okay. But as you advance through your career, I mean, go back through these type of notes or lectures. It'll really help you, because once you get this technical stuff down, I mean, to me, it's easy. Technicals are very easy. It's not rocket science. Quincy, what a great quote. Never heard of that analogy, but that is a great quote. Exactly. You're always one mistake away from, I'm sure a lot of you have had that where you're doing great and then out of nowhere you have one bad day, you blow all your profits, you blow your entire account. The challenge or whatever you're working towards, you blow it in all one day, one session in like a 20-minute interval. Like, it doesn't take much. It takes a very short amount of time to screw everything up you worked for. So you have to have parameters, things in place to help you not do that. Same thing as like a seatbelt, airbag, those type of things. I mean, there's safety precautions and procedures that we do to help us. I have a third party drawdown limiter that I put on my account to make sure that if I go haywire and things go bad, it's there to protect me. Do I trade IDR? No, I don't trade that. Personal opinion, I wouldn't use it. That's my personal opinion. DRX ICT, that's not a thing. You can't combine those two. I don't care what anybody else says. ICT is ICT's concepts. You don't just combine other things with it. You know, just slap EMAs and trend lines and stuff on top of ICT's concepts. That goes against everything that he's taught. That doesn't make any sense. IPDA ranges, that's, you know, your 20, 40, 60 day look back. Well, that's the illusion, Lucas, is your emotions, you don't control your emotions. I want you to understand that you don't control them, because you have a frontal cortex, and once that's overtaken by certain chemicals, you're no longer in control. Like, look at the psyche behind that. So the resolution you have to come to is, you're stopping the emotion before it even gets on a roll overall. That's the main premise of mental game of trading, is you're trying your best to stop those emotions from snowballing, affecting into a point where your frontal cortex, that type of mechanism in your brain, is not overridden. All right, so it's very important. You're not controlling your emotions. You can't, at one point you can't do that. And many of you, if you've been on tilt, and you've been tilting, you're pissed off, you're angry, there's nothing that's going to stop you from doing what you're doing. You're already setting emotion. You're already setting that motion that is, I'm going to get my money back, I'm going to revenge trade, I'm going to do what I want to do. Like, there's no stopping you. Yeah, again, I don't, you learn from emotions, you got to go through emotions, learn that channel. I disagree. I mean, you definitely have to go through emotions to learn about them, to be able to recognize the pattern that happens. But again, you can control your emotions to a certain extent. But again, with trading, it's a different ballpark. We're in a different arena. Lord, you start from the first day. Whatever day we're on, you look back 60 days, 40 days, 20 days. Actually, CJICT has suggested that a trader uses something other than his concepts, that his methodology can be added to increase the probability. Well, yeah, it's going to increase the probability because that's the right they're utilizing his concepts. So if I was utilizing trend lines and EMAs and stuff, and then I added his concepts, of course, because they're true. They are the truth. Like, we can get into that whole concept, and I'm not going to argue about it. But again, I wipe away everything else. You don't need anything else. Why would you want something else? Like, I don't get it. You have everything you need. I don't need trend lines. I don't need anything else. Looking at this wick in here, again, wicks will act as gaps, but it's trading down into that. Why don't I go long here again? I'm just not trying to push longs in this environment. So let's see ES. ES is climbing higher. I believe ES 51.23. It's going to be a draw for ES. pushing longs and a deep premium is never the move on the Friday, especially. Yeah, I mean, that's where I'm sitting. Again, I'm drawing the line in the sand where I'm just going to elect to wait for if TJF plays out, if it does or doesn't. I'm electing to kind of sit on that side. If I miss a beautiful long entry higher, I mean, what can you do? It's part of discipline. But you may view it as, okay, I want to go long in here. That's perfectly fine too, but my experience is telling me to kind of just sit still and wait to see if TGF plays out. Bishop, yeah, I would agree. I mean, I've traded retail concepts. You can go back. I posted on trading or on Twitter my trading view from almost 6 years ago. I'm not just somebody who's came fresh into ICT. I understand the other side. I've traded it. I converted, as one would say. And I even defended the other side very heavily at one point. Somebody tried to get me to do ICT's concepts, and I said, no, that shit doesn't work. And I said, how could trend lines not work? I mean, can't you see they're working? I literally said that to my friend. He was trying to convince me of ICT, and I said, dude, I don't know what you're talking about. These trend lines work. I mean, look at it, dude. Like, that's a trend line. It works. Again, that's all perception. So, it took me a while to convert. I mean, it took me a while to want to get into these concepts, even from a retail standpoint, pattern trading. Julian, yeah. I mean, for the most part, all of us who stream, who trade ICT concepts, we all relatively have the same pattern. We all relatively have the same ideas. We all manage it differently. But relatively, we're all on the same team here. We're all looking at the same thing. We may look at it a little bit differently. The only determining factor is really how you manage risk and your frequency, picking your shots carefully. Did I watch that in series? Yeah. How can we know that we are talking just like that about ICT's concepts? I'm not sure what you mean. I mean, I know what you mean in the sense like, but again, it would be biased if I never traded another style. It would be biased if I never saw the other side, and I never traded a different style, and I never saw that other side. But you can see these are true, right? You can see that this is true because there's no other way to say it, because it is true. It is the truth. You've seen these concepts play out, right? Especially when you just look at the bare basics of liquidity and where price is trading to and from. It doesn't get more simple than that. It doesn't get more truthful than that. Especially even inefficiencies like a fair value gap. You can't unsee that, and it's right in your face after you see it. I mean, it is the truth. That's the only way I can put it. And I'm not being biased or, unopinionated. You can make money with any trading concepts. Because again, we go back to the idea of probabilities and variables. You can make money with any trading style as long as you put the variables and the odds in your favor. That's the cool thing about trading is you can trade any style and be profitable as long as you do risk management well and you psychology as well and you put the odds and the variables in your favor. That's why I look at it through that lens. Flight, exactly. I mean, same here. I've learned 2 years, 3 years of retail quote-unquote concepts, and once I came to these, it's just the same thing as like coming to God. I don't want to draw that conclusion right now, but I mean, to me, that's what it's like. I mean, it is the truth. It is the light. Go into your head. What do you think is going to happen? I feel like you're asking that because you want to bias a direction, or you're in a trade. I'm looking for lower prices overall, and I'm electing to sit on the sidelines until that prints. And if I don't get it, then I'm not doing anything. So I want to see if this forms a Sibian here. We have some bearish SMT. We've taken out buy side liquidity here. We're dropping off lower. So it's exactly what I was really waiting for. If we can get beneath this inefficiency in here, that would be a good sign. Because even though, yes, this could be considered a shift in market structure, this is really changing the state of delivery. Like, that's why I always wait for inversions. Not that I utilize them, but I'm looking at it as a place of changing in state of delivery, right? If we get underneath this, that's telling me that it's no longer respecting bullish PD arrays. But if we're still residing in it and we come up into the SIBI, it would make me weary to short it because it may still be reacting off the bullish PD array and send price higher. So having that and it breaks underneath it, what else is in line? There's nothing else here for price to react off of in terms of bullish PD arrays. Everything's balanced. Everything's like this bullish order block. I'm not going to see that as an area to go long off of. It's already been utilized. So in my head, everything in here is going to be wanted, just going to be seeked for. And that's exactly what I was waiting for, is lower prices. So hopefully that makes sense. When you're looking at delivery and you're looking at shifts in market structure, I'm looking at PD arrays and I'm saying, all right, has it gotten beneath this one? Is it no longer respecting it? Is there any other ones it can drop down into? Do you see on the left side, there's nothing in here. There's nothing else that price, to me, can utilize to send price higher. This is the last point of interest. If it breaks and closes underneath, turns into an inversion, then boom, bada bang, to me, I'm heavily short biased. Does that make sense? To me, this would be not a premature entry, but it's a little bit higher risk entry if that dug into the SIBI. Because we do have a shift in market structure here. That is a shift, but I'm looking at delivery of price. It's still inside a bullish PD array, yes. So on the flip side, it could utilize this to send price higher, right? But if we broke underneath it, closed underneath it, then price returned back up into it, utilize it as resistance, then I'd be pretty confident in sending price lower. So if I have to wait, if price, this is me understanding the emotion of fear of missing out. If it digs up into that and it sells off, I'm okay with it. That's good. I know that there'll probably be an entry at this lower portion for me to go short. I don't need the best entry. I don't need the best risk to reward. I don't need to look fancy. I just need to do what's right. And that's a huge gem right there. I hope many of you picked that up. If you didn't, go back, put it in your journal. I'm wary that ES has not wanted to take its high yet. I mean, it is a bearish S&T, but it's engineering some buy side in here. So I'm looking at ES. I'm trying to gauge that as well. I just looked at the chat. What's up with this Eric Nick stuff? Let me take a look at dollar index real quick. Dollar index is dropping hard. Wow. Oh, we have to be wary of that as well. Dollar index is dropping heavily lower. That goes against an overall bias of looking for lower prices. So be wary of that. What just happened to this? Oh, I deleted all my annotations. Damn it. Oh, whatever. So that is a conflicting factor to me, right? Even though I'm looking for lower prices, the fact that dollar index is really dropping heavily off lower, it would make me weary. This is where you as the analyst, you're weighing decisions and options. I'm weighing the decision. Well, I do see the model where I could go short in here, TGIF, the things we just discussed. But if dollar index is dropping heavily off lower, and I believe that ES is yet to reach into at least the liquidity that I think it can reach up into, it would make me weary to want to short this. So again, I'm weighing options, I'm weighing decisions. If there isn't a strong enough conviction for me, then I have to wait for more information. It's not being me 50-50 and this or that. It's just me as the analyst. I'm weighing options and decisions and seeing what's right or wrong in that moment in time. If dollar index was moving higher aggressively, then I'd be fairly confident in this thing moving lower. So that's me utilizing intermarket relationships. Bad. What is up with the chat? Why are we talking about Arabic? How do we get on this discussion? So again, if you see what I'm doing, I'm shifting through the time frames. I'm looking at higher time frames, lower time frames. I'm trying to shift through it and see what is the closure, what is price currently looking like. There's nothing wrong with Arabic. I'm confused while we're talking about it. This, OT trader, what's up, brother? Yeah, I know, right? I mean, this whole year. Talking about this week, talking about this year, my man. That has been brutal. I don't know how y'all are trading euro right now. I mean, first love is always euro, but I mean, it's been difficult for all of us, I believe, personally. I'm not saying NQ's been any easier, but EU just looks like a roller coaster of a mess. That thing is gross. Same with pound. Pound's disgusting. I don't even know what you're joking me about. I have no idea. I don't know what's going on in the chat. I don't really care. Oh, teacher, that's all right, my man. I'm doing good. You'll get through it. We all have. We'll just have to remember that good times will always come. And most people that are not experienced, they, when you say that, they're like, you're supposed to be profitable in every single condition. And there's just times where technically price is just not there. And that's when you have to be able to reduce your risk. You have to really improve your psychology. You have to be really working and being very, very picky with it. You have to constantly work on your psyche and make sure you're always there. Especially in your drawdown and conditions are not right. You pair those two things together. It's a bad combo. Yeah, exactly. That teacher. And then drawdown periods and multiple losses will create doubt, fear, anxiety, and bitterness within you, and that's where you have to be able to reduce your risk to be able to reduce those emotions from coming out of you. Definitely think that if you're able to get out of drawdown, you're able to do that confidently over a lot of times, you'll be a successful trader. I'm not saying you, teacher. I'm just talking to the audience. I'm looking to see what price really wants to do. Nico, that's all right, my man. I mean, that's normal. You don't just start out winning or start at break even. You're probably gonna. I talked about the 3 stages. You go from losing to break even to a little bit of profit. I mean, there's really to me 4 stages, but it could be a lot. Overall, losing, break even, then profitability. So you're gonna go backwards from drawdown, break even to profitability. Each of those stages may take years to play out. All right, I'll teach you. Have a good weekend, brother. Dollar started rallying higher. Yeah. I mean, if you look at the session so far, I mean, AM's been terrible this whole week. It's not been easy. So, I mean, overall, if I don't take another trade this week and I have to end in a small loss, that's a win to me, man. I'm happy as shit to do that. Regardless of my ego, like again with live streaming, my ego, I want to do well in these live streams. Like, I'm being blatantly honest, just so I can show people what I can do. But I know logically that doesn't make any sense. That's what my emotions telling me to push beyond what is actually really here. Like, especially, wanting to do some type of private group, it's like I have to perform, I have to do well in order to showcase what I can do. But if the conditions aren't there, if my model isn't appearing, I can't do that just because I'm live streaming, just because I have people watching me, because I want to complete some type of task or goal. So I'm constantly internally fighting with that throughout the day as well, and throughout the session. And this is just me being transparent, honest with all of you. I mean, it really is. Just certain things I fight constantly with. Problem is, you're not 100% focused on the charts. Thank you for your advice, business. Yeah, I would have taken that trade regardless if I was live streaming with the chat or not. Sam, thank you. XNO, thank you. Yeah, business. I mean, I mean, I know what you're saying, but regardless, if I was by myself, I would have taken that trade, probably with or without the chat or without live streaming. Like, yeah, there's times where I'm unfocused, but it really hasn't affected me too much. Third track trading, appreciate that. Do you use 30-second or 15-second? No. Yeah, thank you, business. It's hard sometimes, man. It's hard with the chat, like especially through text, to see the tonality behind your message. Sometimes it comes across different, especially if I'm already like a little irritated with chat and somebody says something and tries to give me advice. I don't know if you mean it well, if you mean it in a condescending way. Text is hard sometimes, so it's difficult. Does the pressure of 600 people affect you? No, I mean, if there was 10,000 people in here versus one, I mean, it's the same thing to me, to be honest with you. Like, if there were 600 people sitting physically in front of me, yeah, that would definitely affect me. But I mean, I don't see any of you. I don't hear any of you. I just talk and I see words on a screen. And here, what am I trying to gauge? I think ES is going to want to propel higher. Same with NQ. Dollar index is still dropping off lower. Am I going to elect to do anything? Probably not. So hopefully that tip earlier in terms of watching fair value gaps turn from BISIs into inversions, vice versa, SIBIs into inversions. It's a change in state of delivery, because my old self would have looked at this as a shift in market structure. I would have seen this as a 2022 model where you're taking out buy side, shift in market structure, fair value gap, etc. But that's a huge indication. We never closed beneath it. And some other things didn't agree. Dollar index was really dropping lower. Could still see ES propelling higher, so IQ is probably going to want to move in sync with it. We'll see in here if I can. As we move into the end of the silver bullet, I'm looking at time really more than price. We'll see. What of 600 blondies? I'm not answering that. So we form a fair value gap in here. We ILFED it. Wouldn't be terrible. I mean, if we take out buy side, I want to see 0.-5. If we take out buy side, then just delete the limit, and that's that. The reason I'm electing to believe that, obviously, we're going to look for higher prices. ES, I still think has room to go, which this would want to move in sync with it. Dollar index is dropping lower pretty heavily in here. So there's the limit hit. So I want to elect to believe that ES is going to want to continue through to take out basically its all-time high. And if that is true, then NQ should want to follow through with that. With dollar index dropping lower, we'll see. Seems like both times this week I've tried to snag these longs, yesterday and today. It's just not been in the favor. But I'm going to pay my stop loss to do its job, and that's that really. How does it feel to get any woman you want? I don't. What? It's me adjusting some levels. Do I have a girlfriend? No, I do not. NQ is my girlfriend. And sometimes she's a bitch. CJ still don't understand why I don't look at RSI. It's not part of what ICT teaches, so. Yeah, business, I mean, I know you're joking and stuff, but just keep it appropriate. I'm not gonna be answering weird questions, man. And this inversion's the last point of interest. It's got to really basically fly from here. And I'm electing to believe that ES is going to want to climb to take out its buy side at 51.23. But it's just not willing to do it, man. Both times. I mean, I'm not stopped out yet, but I'm believing I'm going to. And the model's there. There's nothing that would keep me away from taking the trade. I mean, RSI is just saying whether something is overbought, oversold, but again, that's an indicator telling you that. If you look at indexes and you look at the divergence between them, you can gauge that. You can actually measure that more correctly. That's what S&T is for. So I know you RSI. I mean, there's nothing against it, man. It's just not what I utilize. So if it does reach that high, it's basically about 20 handles that take half the position off. I'm looking at just standard deviations. You can look at this inverse kind of swing here. It's a very large swing. I'm trying to drag it from here to here. Using negative 0.5 is there. Again, I don't know when we reach all-time highs. I have no idea where price is going to go, so I just have to be careful. It's just measuring if it's going to keep respecting bullish PD rays / bearish, I mean, etc. And that's where just paying your stop loss. Sometimes you can doubt in the trade that it's even going to go in your favor, and then it ends up going in your favor. So you just pay your stop loss to be there, and you pay it to do its job. That's the reason why I never adjust it, or even in the odds of the chaos of how much you may think you're getting stopped out, sometimes it turns around on you. I really want to see it in the next candle or two here propel into the sell side, or I'm sorry, buy side. So there's 2 partials taken off. Pay attention more to my live account than this one. So I want to see how high it can reach for. Again, we could just turtle soup this and it could collapse. So that's the reason why I'm protecting myself. I took 2 partials out. So it's about 20 handle partial out of there. I mean, up into here it's about 30. I just can't really grab anything that's super good for standard deviations. I don't see anything super clean. I wanted to make note. ES reached into 51.23. I wanted to make note of this wick in here. Wicks will act as what? Gaps. So even though there's not a fair value gap in here, look at the wick and the 50%. Look at the level of respect there. Overall, if I was to inverse this to see how far it would go, it could potentially reach up into 0.5. So I'm not going to swing it for that long. I'm just going to be very tedious. I mean, you could be out of the entire position, whatever you'd like. From here on out, I mean, it's up to you, however you want to manage it. All right, Excellent. Have a good weekend, brother. Again, if you hear it in my voice, I'm not influenced by a win or loss. I react the exact same way. Like, I'm not excited when I win. I'm not distraught when I lose, because I understand that it's just I'm placing this in the bucket of probabilities. It goes back to the whole main point of what we're talking about at the beginning of the stream, is I'm just placing it in that bucket. It's like, okay, cool, I won. All right, well, this goes in that bucket of probabilities for a win. And this is why we pay ourselves when we take partials. Partials pay 100% of the time. When we protect ourselves, we do the right thing. Black Owl, I see your question. You don't need to repeat it. No need SMT to buy or sell. I'm not sure what you mean by that. You gotta clarify. Black Owl, you repeat it again, I'm gonna ban you. Stop spamming. Yeah, so I mean, the reason for that trade, if you're wondering, is, well, I could see that the idea of the short, which TGF was originally looking for, is really not coming into fruition. Dollar index really dropping off heavily would make me extremely weary of wanting to short today. Even though TGF would have been ideal, I can't go against that. It contradicts that idea. And with ES was lagging behind it. Even though it was, printing a bearish SMT at the time, I was believing that it was a sixth sister. I believed that it would want to continue higher. So if ES wants to continue higher, then NASDAQ would want to continue higher. And what do we have? We have buy side above us. We reacted off a bullish PD array in here. Displaced higher above a SIBI. Change in state of delivery. Turns into an inversion plus fair value gap here. Entry model. Go higher, target buy side. If you look at the 15-minute, drop down into an inefficiency here. Moved away from it. Same thing, 30-minute, immediate rebalance down to the low. 1 hour, we're displacing higher above buy side. Overall, institutional order flow on daily, weekly, monthly is bullish. So if you're wondering why I took the trade and what the logic behind it was, there you go. Let's see, again, this is the only buy side I can look for, so I'm going to see if it can get up above that. Wheezy, what's up, my brother? Always on time. I love to see it, man. It's my favorite part of my session. I knew you were in these longs. I was actually looking for TGIF, but I couldn't. There was nothing that was panning out in that direction. And dollar index dropped off heavily lower, and I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go with the overall longs. And yes, I wanted to see the follow through on that, so I just decided to, screw it. I'll take another partial off there, pay myself again. Pay the trader, pay the trader. So I class my live position at full contracts there. It's basically about, choose down here, about 25 handles. So up on the week. That's all I wanted out of the week. I was very weary of even trading today, so I'm happy with that. I'm content with it. The reason I took off another partial and collapsed my live position is because, well, if we're making a new high, it's called running down equity. Every time you make a new high, you're taking out a partial. And I don't know where price is going to go. This is at all-time highs. This thing could collapse, so I don't know how far price is going. CJ is such a goof trader, Elmeo, surprisingly, honestly. Oh. I got what you're saying. I was like, oh, goof. Can you give me any types to read prices you do? I mean, just time and experience, man. I mean, spending time around somebody who has read price like me for 6 years now, it's going to help. Trader Tom, amazing to hear. Love to hear that. Awesome. Congratulations. Wazy, amazing to hear, brother. Love to hear that. Yeah, PMX. My Nightbot does not like caps, but I saw it. Would you use standard deviation as a swing point for potential drawn liquidity target? Yeah. I don't have a lot of confidence behind standard deviations. It's just an estimate of where price could go, but it's going to move to wherever it's going to move. And anytime I'm taking out buy side liquidity at an all-time high, it's called running down equity. I'm going to take my partial and leave it. Again, I'm just showing the management of a trade and how you would manage it. Mac Marsh, appreciate that. Awesome to see you here. CJ, thanks for the time to showcase your skills in live trade or live time. I like your trader logic and you're very clear and insightful. You're very much appreciated in what you have offered. Thank you. It means a lot. Really glad I found you too. It's been amazing to see your calmness, being able to sit on your hands. It really helped me. Awesome. I'm glad I'm able to transfer that over to all of you. It's my goal here. I'm out of the position. That's it. So ran out equity high again. So it's a short, easy scalp. What is this trade model as well for all of you who have been with me for a while? This is the last, 25% into the drawn liquidity. So the drawn liquidity was here. Sometimes it's less than 25. Sometimes it's only, 10 to 15%. But if you know that it can move above the drawn liquidity and keep expanding, then it's a good trade, opportunity as well. So hopefully you guys are able to see that today. I mean, this week we ended up profitable again. So that's awesome. But that's not the point. I'm not looking at profit. Like, of course, probability is great, but sometimes you can't control that. The only thing that we can control is the effort that we put into the trade idea, as we discussed before. Lil Wazy, I think I did great this week. Actually, I did phenomenal. I did amazing. I'm gonna sit here and just say that I did A+ performance. I can't thank myself enough. That's not me being boastful, but I generally am very proud of what Monday and Tuesday. I'll recap it for those who weren't here. Monday and Tuesday, we sat up. I didn't do anything. Wednesday, I took 2 trades. One was a loss, one was a win. Yesterday, I took a loss. I didn't re-enter back on the market, didn't trade the whole day. I sat out. And today we come in and we get, the last portion of our trade. I mean, it's not a huge winning week for me, but it's still something, right? In weeks where it's not extremely fruitful, where I can't really excel, the best thing I can do is try to mitigate as much loss as possible, mitigate the amount of frequency and the risks that I use, and just, that's because if you're able to do that, then those weeks where it's very fruitful, it's easy, then you're excelling. But if you have these losing weeks where you're devastating your whole account, you can't excel. You can't break free from losing. BP, I just learned from it. Journal. I mean, I completely understand. I'm very empathetic towards people because I've been there. I understand it. But you have to utilize that failure as motivation. Don't look at it as fearful. Look at it as, okay, well, I can adjust here. I can fix these issues. I can fix what is going on in here. You have to make the adjustments yourself. I can't tell you what you're doing wrong, especially for all those who are losing and are not in profitability yet. I mean, again, it's mainly due to your discipline and your psychology, and you have to work on those very delicately. Like your life depends on it. Your career depends on your discipline and psychology. Because nobody's going to do it for you. I can teach you how to trade these technicals. I can teach you how to get into price. I can't teach you discipline. I can give you advice, experience. I can lend you it, but I can't do it for you. You're going to have to work on this like your life depends on it, man. It does. At least if this is a do or die for you, you have no other option, no plan B like I do. I mean, your life and your family, everything depends on it. That's the reason why all of you sit here and say, I have such great discipline. Well, I had to work on it for many, many years and suffer. Like my life depended on it. So, I mean, that's going to be it. I'm not going to sit here any longer. If you guys have anything else to ask, I can answer that before we close out the weekend. What was your bias on this trading day? I mean, I was looking for shorts overall, but even going back to the guy that made the comment the last 2 days, it's like where I'll be 50-50, saying plan A or plan B, because I'm constantly weighing the information that's coming in. Sometimes today I was looking for TGF, that was what I was anticipating, but I could see that the information was not there. So I had to switch and go, okay, well, now I'm going to look for higher prices. That's what's printing. But guess what? I didn't take a loss the entire time. I wasn't shorting it. It's just an idea that I had. And once I saw that was invalid, then okay, then I'm going to switch to what is valid. That's what a good analyst does. They're able to be fluid. Yeah, bias is fluid. If anybody asks me that again, thank you, Will. I'm going to say that. My bias is fluid. And people are going to be like, well, that's not a good trader. Well, talk to my live account. Talk to my profits because it says otherwise. Yeah. Tell us about, this is the last question, man. Tell us the ICT private. I mean, there was never lives like this. It was strictly hard work for years of him uploading 2-3 hour commentaries every single day that I would have to sit down, watch, take notes, and grind my ass off. Like, he never did live streams like this, but I think last year really opened up my eyes, really helped me. That's it. Appreciate everybody being on here. Appreciate all the support. If you guys can like, comment, subscribe if you're not already. Hope you all have a wonderful weekend. And until then, good luck and good trading, everybody.